Sorry if I'm squeaky in this video, I picked a horrible outfit. And I know I could change, but I don't really want to. Also, there are about 400 planes in the sky right now, so I'm gonna have to stop this video every 5 seconds to let them go. I found this story on No Sleep so long ago and I have been waiting to read it. I don't know why I've been waiting so long, but I finally saw it in my bookmarks on my computer and I was like, holy shit, I need to read the story. So I'm gonna get right into it because I'm really excited to read it. I've only read bits and pieces of it because I kind of skimmed the first part. There are 5 parts to this. I'm gonna read the first 2 now, and then if you guys want to hear the rest, I'll read the last 3 in next week's video. But the series is called The Deep Web Kidnapping. Before I begin to tell you my story, I guess I should probably explain to you what I know about the deep web. The deep web is a part of the internet that can only be reached using Tor, or something similar. Everything is anonymous and nearly impossible to track, which makes drug dealing and, much worse, a breeze. It's obviously illegal to use or even access the deep web, but that didn't stop me. And oh, I paid for it. I really paid for it. I was sitting on my bed, exploring some of the websites the deep web had to offer. Don't get the wrong idea, I wasn't sick in the head like most people on the deep web. I avoided the copious amounts of porn and animal abuse. Actually, by that point, I was an expert at avoiding things of that nature. I mainly browsed the many drug sale sites because I found them oddly intriguing. I never purchased anything. I just got a rush because I knew I was doing something I wasn't supposed to. I know that sounds childish, but it's true. My girlfriend Liz stepped out of the bathroom and ran a towel through her damp hair. I loved it when she didn't have any makeup on and her natural beauty shone through. We'd been living together for about a year in an apartment in the suburbs, and both of our lives were going relatively well. She was just about done with nursing school, and I had somehow managed to get a job at a company with great benefits. I was planning on proposing to her on Christmas Day, which, at that point, was exactly 1 month away. She sat down next to me and glanced at the screen. "Are you on that creepy deep web thing again?" I nodded. "You know, if you keep using that thing, you're gonna get yourself in trouble sooner or later," she scolded, opening up whatever novel she was reading at the time. "I can't have my boyfriend being some hardened criminal." I chuckled. "Don't worry, babe. I know what I'm doing. Nothing's gonna happen to me." She pecked me on the cheek. "Fine. I guess I believe you." As I continued exploring, I stumbled upon a site I'd never seen before. It was a drug marketplace called Cannabis Corral. I groaned. What a stupid name. The site was less than intriguing, and I soon found myself exiting the page. A few seconds later, a random chat box appeared at the bottom of my screen, and it said, "Aren't you going to purchase something from the Cannabis Corral?" I dealt with these type of people before. Most of the time, if you just told them no, not today, they'd leave you alone. So that's exactly what I did. A few seconds later, he replied with, "Why not?" For some reason, I decided to get sassy, so I typed, "Because your selection sucks, that's why." It took him a few minutes to reply, but when he did, I laughed out loud. "I have your address, I have your phone number, hell, I even have your credit card number. Buy something from the Cannabis Corral or else." I rolled my eyes. "I'm shaking because I'm so scared. Do you have my embarrassing middle school yearbook pictures? Screw off, dude." He then said, "Don't say I didn't warn you." A few days later, I'd completely forgotten about the incident. I was going about my mundane daily life, doing what needed to be done. The best part of my day was always when the lights were off and my girlfriend and I just did what we did best, if you know what I'm saying. We just finished up for the night when I heard a strange noise coming from the window. Knock, knock, knock. Liz gulped. "Sweetie, did you hear that?" The knocks got louder. I wasn't a gun enthusiast, but when I moved in with Liz, her father insisted I own at least 1 pistol to protect her. I didn't even know the name of the model. I ran over to my closet and opened up the old shoebox that I kept the pistol hidden in. It felt heavy and unnatural in my hands. I'd only ever shot a gun once at a range and my aim was awful. Still, on the off chance there was an axe murderer outside, I would do whatever I needed to do to survive. I crawled over to the window and peeked my head outside. Liz had protested renting a room on the first floor, but I managed to convince her that it was a good idea because it was cheaper. I was regretting it at that moment. A sigh of relief escaped my mouth when I saw that there was nobody outside the window. "Must have been those teenage brats that live upstairs," I said, in a reassuring tone. Dang brats. Suddenly, the door of my apartment burst open. In stepped the most terrifying man I'd ever seen. He was dressed in all black and had a cloth mask on that concealed everything but his eyes. In his hands was a large machete. He glanced at me before making a beeline for Liz. "If you so much as put your hand on the trigger, I'll slit her throat right here," he said gruffly. Liz shook her head as the man tied a thick piece of cloth around her mouth, put her in a headlock, and held the machete close to her neck. Liz's eyes were filled with fear as she tried in vain to scream for help. Then it hit me. The cannabis corral. He must have been telling the truth when he said he knew everything about me. What do you want from me? Do you want me to buy some drugs? I asked. I'll do anything you want, just don't hurt her. Really, she had nothing to do with it. I gave you a warning, and I only give one warning, he replied. But since I'm so gracious, I'll give you a chance to get her back. I took a deep breath. How much money do you want? He gave a sickening laugh. I don't want your money. I want to play a game. A game? He nodded. A scavenger hunt of sorts. I'll give you clues to where I've hidden her, and if you can find her within 10 days, she lives. If you can't, she dies. Simple as that. And if you even think about contacting the police or telling anybody about this, you lose automatically. Keep in mind to have all of your personal information. I can track your every move. Am I understood? I gulped. If I protested or fought him, he'd kill Liz. I had no choice but to agree to his dumb scavenger hunt. Yes, I understand. Good, he said, slowly walking towards the door of the apartment, my precious Liz in his deadly grip. I'll text you your first clue in exactly 1 hour. Until then, don't leave this apartment. And just like that, he walked out of my apartment, and he took Liz with him. Exactly 30 minutes later, I felt my phone buzz in my pocket. I had been glued to my spot on the floor ever since that man kidnapped my Liz. Was this really happening? Numbly, I pulled out my phone to find out that there was a new text message from an unknown number. Go to Stu's Diner and await further instructions. It should be about an hour away. See Corral. The reality of my situation was beginning to sink in. See Corral, I guess that's what I'll call him from now on, had both my life and Liz's in his hands. I stared down at the message for at least 10 minutes before finally replying. Are you sure there's no way I can get Liz back right now? Please, I'll do anything you want. Torture me instead of her. Come on, give me some credit. She's done nothing wrong, so I won't torture her. You, on the other hand, well, you need to learn your lesson the hard way. On the not-so-off chance that you don't win the game, I'll make sure Liz's death is quick and painless. Your death, however, won't be nearly as quick. Now quit trying to bargain with me and go to the dang diner. It took me a minute to stand up. My heart was beating out of my chest, my legs were shaking, and my head hurt so bad that it felt like it was going to burst at any second. Still, I knew I couldn't waste any time. I only had 10 days to get Liz back, and I couldn't let any precious minute slip away. I grabbed my heavy coat, my pistol, my cell phone, my wallet, and my car, and left my apartment. The chilly November air made me shake even harder than I already was. My only mode of transportation, a used Jeep that didn't offer much in terms of warmth. I remember Liz telling me that was a dumb idea to buy a Jeep because we lived in northern Washington. But as usual, I didn't listen to her. God, I'm such an idiot, I thought, putting my key into the ignition. If only I had listened to Liz for once and not gone on the deep web. I typed Stu's Diner into my GPS and let out a loud groan when I saw where it was. See Corral sure wasn't letting me off easy, that's for sure. Stu's Diner was located near what the locals in my area call the Misery Forest. Rumor had it that cries and moans could be heard in the rustling of the tree branches. Also, I think a few bodies had been found there. I cursed See Corral under my breath and took off down the road. Since it was 4 o'clock in the morning, the roads were almost completely empty. My mind flashed back to happier days, like the time me and Liz had taken a road trip down to Santa Monica. I remember the exact moment that I fell in love with her. She was on the beach laughing and singing Disney songs. Oh, her smile. Her smile. She didn't believe she was beautiful, but she was. She lit up my world. I knew that if we both managed to live through the kidnapping fiasco, she would dump me in a heartbeat. But oddly enough, I understood why. Who in their own right mind would want to date somebody who almost got them killed? There was one thought that I had to repress in order to stay sane. And that thought was, what if Liz dies and I survive? I knew in my heart that if she died because of me, I wouldn't be able to go on living. The Misery Forest had a dirt road that went straight through it. I desperately tried to find another way to Stu's Diner, but with no luck. Upon closer examination, I realized that Stu's Diner was in the center of the forest. My heart dropped. Just what was See Corral planning? Was he some sort of mad genius, or was he just a lunatic? After taking a long, deep breath, I hit the gas pedal and entered the forest. Either I was just imagining things, or all the rumors about the Misery Forest were true. I swear I heard yelling and cries of pain coming from the trees above me. I screamed like a little girl when I heard something land on my lap. It took me a few seconds to process that it was just a dead tree branch. I couldn't help but laugh at myself for being so scared over nothing. I chucked the branch out of my Jeep and sped on down the dirt road. Hidden among the ivy and evergreens was a little brick building. I turned on my cell phone's flashlight and hopped out of my Jeep. A dead leaf crunched under my foot and I jumped back a little bit. Pull it together, I told myself. You're a grown man. The front of the building had a small wooden sign that read, Stu's Diner. Even though the door was unlocked, it was still nearly impossible to go inside. My instincts were telling me to get the hell away from that building. But I knew if I didn't go inside, I had no chance of ever seeing Liz again. Stu's Diner was completely dark. Honestly, I'm not sure why I was expecting the lights to work. I sat down on one of the dusty booths and did a quick Google search of Stu's Diner. As it turns out, it was a popular tourist attraction in the 1960s, but it closed down shortly after an unsolved murder occurred in the bathroom late one night. As you can imagine, the information only freaked me out more. Out of nowhere, all the lights turned on in the tiny diner, and calming yet creepy classical music began to blare through the ancient radio. A man in a black suit emerged from the bathroom. He had a dull expression, like he had done this a million times before. He placed a plate on the table in front of me and took a step backwards. There were 3 shot glasses, full of a mysterious, clear liquid. "I'm sorry, who are you?" I asked the man. Are you associated with C. Corral?" "He's my boss," the man replied, revealing his deep voice. "At this time, I must ask you to text him to tell him that you wish to begin your first challenge." I wasn't going to question the guy in the suit. He was too scary. Instead, I did as he said. "I wish to begin my first challenge," I typed. Almost instantly, C. Corral sent a reply. "Took you long enough. As I'm sure you already know, there are 3 shot glasses on the table in front of you. 2 of them are filled with a deadly poison, while 1 of them is just plain water. I'll be asking you 2 random trivia questions. For each question you get right, I will have my henchman remove 1 of the poison shots. If you correctly answer both of my trivia questions, then congratulations, you win this round and I'll give you a very valuable clue. If not, let's just say I hope luck is on your side." I rolled my eyes. "You know, if you weren't literally insane, I'd commend you for your creativity." To which the maniac replied, "I get that a lot." A few seconds later, he texted me my first question. I was expecting it to have something to do with murder or the deep web, but no, it was a fucking spelling question. "Which of the following words is spelled correctly?" "How is this relevant to anything?" I typed furiously. "The questions I ask are randomly generated. It helps keep things fresh." Out of nowhere, the man in the suit pulled a gun out of his coat and aimed it at my temple. I held my hands up in surrender. "What the hell?" I cried. The man in the suit glared at me. "Don't Google the answers." "You could have just told me that. The gun seems a little unnecessary." "Mr. Corral wanted me to use it to scare you." Of course he did. I stared at the ridiculous spelling question for a long time. Back when I was in elementary school, I remember my least favorite teacher telling my mother that my reading and spelling skills needed major improvement. My parents forced me to do some spelling tutoring all summer, but it barely helped. What can I say? I've always been a science and math type of guy. Words just never did it for me. Let's see, process of elimination, right? I thought, A and D definitely look wrong, so it's either B or C. I'm gonna go with C. I texted him the letter C. "You're correct. Here's the next question. What is the capital of West Virginia?" The answer to that question seemed so obvious to me. It was A, right? I quickly texted him telling him my answer. "Wrong. Ha. I knew I'd get you with that one. The correct answer is C. But hey, look on the bright side. You still have a 50-50 chance of surviving." A loud groan escaped my mouth as I replied, "I hate you." The man in the suit grabbed his gun and aimed it at my head. "You have 10 seconds to choose which one you'd like to drink." 10 seconds? I had 10 seconds to make a life or death decision. I didn't even have time to ponder what death might feel like or call my family and tell them I loved them. C. Corral was a cruel man. I decided to go with the one on the right, because right is always right, right? With a shaky hand, I pulled the shot glass to my lips. It certainly didn't smell like anything. I said a quick prayer and poured the liquid into my mouth. I smiled. It was water. I pulled up my phone and texted him. Guess what? I'm still alive. Good. I was hoping you'd last a little bit longer. I have exciting plans for your next 2 challenges. My henchman will give you your first clue. The man in a suit pulled something out of his pocket and placed it in my hand. It was a small brass key and a slip of paper with an address on it. The address was somewhere in Maine, all the way across the fucking country. Go to the location listed and enter the building using the key. There, you will receive further instructions. I stood, mockingly thanked the man who held a gun to my head, walked out of Stu's Diner for what I hoped would be the last time, and once I was safely in my Jeep, I typed the nearest airport into my GPS. Since I'd managed to survive so far, I was confident I could survive whatever crap Sea Corral threw at me next. If only I'd known what awaited me in Maine. And that is the first 2 parts, and I want to keep reading it, so I hope that you guys want to keep listening to it. So let me know if you guys want to hear the last 3 parts of it. If you guys have any stories that you want me to read, go ahead and send them to me. I always have my social media linked down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. I quickly texted him telling him my answer. You know, I thought I'd gotten over the super raspy, losing my voice aspect of reading stories, but I was very wrong. See ya! Ah.